Bill Hoagland. I am the NEMCON chairman. We have decided because of COVID not to hold an in-person NEMCON 40 in 2021. We did decide to thank our past NEMCON registrants with an online convention, which we are calling NEMCON 39.5 Online. We have some lectures, some performance, and an interview you will find very interesting. Thanks for attending NEMCON 39.5 Online, and we will see you live next year. I'm going to turn this over to Adam Parisi, who is your host today. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Welcome, everybody, to NEMCON 39.5, our virtual magic convention. First up, we have a lecture by Atlanta magician Ken Scott. Ken is going to give us a lecture on virtual magic. He was one of the first magicians at the start of the pandemic to make the pivot to doing online virtual magic shows. So he's got a lot of experience to share with us. I hope you enjoy it.
Hey everybody, how are you? I'm Ken Scott. Hey, do you guys want to see the most amazing card trick in the world? I want you to think of a playing card. Go ahead and think of one in your mind right now, but do it quickly because we're going to run out of time. Okay, we ran out of time. But guess what? It is showtime. Hey everybody, I'm Ken Scott. Thank you for joining me today. Well, we are, as I'm recording this, we are about a year or it's been a year since COVID or the pandemic started. And as many of you probably, as for me, I switched gears pretty quickly in April of last year. I pretty much built this studio in my basement. Already had some lights and stuff, but needed some more stuff. But I have been building this studio for the past year, and I'm glad I did because it was a good pivot to go virtual. And I was doing virtual shows at the end of May last year, or at the end of April. And I've been doing virtual shows since then, and they're great. Now, I want to tell you that I think virtual shows, as we start coming out of the pandemic, I think virtual shows will still be here in some sense. Maybe, for instance, if you're up for a performance, or if you're up to be getting hired at a company, it'd be a great time to bring the HR department on a Zoom call and do a quick audition for them instead of sending them a tape. So I think this virtual stuff might be here. I think teaching my magic classes like I've been doing is going to be great for virtual. So I think some virtual of the aspect that we're doing right now will not leave. I think will be here, which is kind of a good thing. But obviously we want to get back to live performances. So today I want to share with you some tricks that are out there that I put into it. You know, it was funny because some of the tricks that you do in a show doesn't necessarily play on camera, but then some do. But you just got to know how to play it. So I'm going to share with you some things that I've been doing with the camera and learning how to play with the camera. And then I'm going to give you my gear sheet and show you everything I bought as far as my gear and all my stuff that I've made my studio here, down to lights, to teleprompters, to my stream decks, my ATM minis. It's like it's like a cockpit in here with all my controls, like I'm flying a plane here. So it's been a great learning process, to say the least. So with that, when I'm playing the screen, I want people to know when I'm doing my work here, there's typically 3 places that I work. Now you want to keep in mind you're working for TV. So you're working basically in this box, and that's how you got to frame your mindset and remember that people are here. You know, in an audience, sometimes we can look over here and play to them. We can play to them, but now you're playing right here. You're playing right here to the camera. So you gotta. It's a hard transition for some people. So you got to know this is your audience now, and not these people over here. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, when I'm working the camera, I'm either right here, or I'm here, or I'm right here. Now, I'm not back here often. I'm typically right here in the shot, but it gives 3 different shots, okay? It gives you 3 different places that you can be as I'm working the camera, okay? And typically my shot is always waist up on this shot here because I'm not zooming in, it's just me working the studio here, all right? But when I'm starting my show, I want to work this square box here. I want to get their attention. I've learned on virtual shows, it has to be quick. And these long, drawn-out things sometimes don't play as well for these Zoom shows or virtual shows as they would if you were in person. So I have learned that. So one of the things I do is I just get their attention right off the bat, and you go, you know, I've been working, and I notice some people think that this TV trickery stuff, since we're doing TV, it's TV trickery. And in fact, I'll show you something. You can see I've got these ear pods on now. If I hold this one here like that, it looks kind of normal, right? It looks normal. But if I hold it really far back, it looks tiny, yeah? But if I hold it up to the screen, it looks really big, doesn't it? It looks really huge. but that could be just because it could be, it might, okay, that might be just magic. I don't know, that might be magic, yeah. So, that's a fun trick. It's just a cool gag. I love doing that forced perspective thing. I love doing that. Many of you, if you ever seen me do the rope routine, the 4 nightmares, this is what I do in my live shows, but I learned I can make it work in this show. But for instance, the 4 nightmares, if you've ever seen this, I say I got a small jump rope and a large jump rope. You can tell the difference. Now on TV, if I hold this small one up, they both look the same size. I'm not going to do that to you. I'm going to hold it here like this. And what I'm doing is I'm getting this, I'm showing them the small piece and the large piece. I say, I can see all of you on my monitor here. I can see all of you. I can see if you're clapping or not. So make sure you can see these ends. I take this one here, this one here. You guys can still see that small one, right? If I take that small one and stretch it and stretch it and stretch it, it becomes the same size. Oh, I know. Oh, wait. No one clapped. Not one per. Oh, they're clapping now. They're clapping. Okay, good. They're clapping. Good. And as you can see, I'm still able to do the same thing I do in person by getting them to clap, because this is basically my warm-up trick I do when I'm in live performance in person. When I look down and I see they're just kind of sitting there, now they're clapping, even though I can't hear them. So look, we got 2 pieces of rope there that are the exact same size. I'm going to take these and I'm going to make it into 1 piece of rope. Now watch. Ta-da, 1 piece. Okay, I tied it. Okay, thanks. Appreciate you. Yeah. But if I snap my fingers, look, that slides off the rope. I know. I want to clap too. And at this point, everyone in my gallery is clapping now. So now I'm going to take this, I'm going to tie it once, going to tie it twice. When I do that, it becomes a swirly, twirly little circle. Check that out. I know. Look at you guys. Oh, look at you, Mark. You're clapping. And there you go. Nice. I'll teach you how to do this. Take it, hold it in your hand. And when you you want to hold this in your hand like this. Take it and thread it through like that. And then put that loop carefully on top like this. Watch, rock-a-bye, baby. Watch that loop, everybody. Ready? Back together. It's back together. It worked. Thank you so much. It's showtime, everybody. So again, this is just using the trick that I have always done for many years called 4 nightmares. It's a great trick. It plays well for me in person. It plays just as well for me as a warm-up on camera too, because you can really see the visuals of that trick. Then using the ear pods. This is just an old, this is a gag that's been around for a little while. Alan Wong had these. But it's just using the forced perspective. I love doing forced perspective stuff. And in fact, back early during the pandemic, this was my first video I did on forced perspective. Oh, hey everybody, it's Magician Ken Scott. How are you? It's magic time. Oh, perfect. Ah, nice. You know, we always need a magic wand. Every magician needs a magic wand. I've got my magic wand. I've got my magic hat. We're all set. We can do our magic. We need the bunny rabbit. Here we go. The bunny rabbit from the hat. Wait a minute. Things aren't always the way they appear. And there is the bunny. All right, so again, that was one of my first videos that I did back early last year when I was playing around with the studio, and that was my first thing that I worked with on that, and it was fun. And it's got me learning a lot of new videos and why do videos. So I've learned to do this video stuff, and you know, one of the things I did was with the forced perspective using this thing here, and that just, again, it's a great warm-up to do this. There was a great tip that I got from a magician on one of my lectures one night, and it was this. You know, basically as we're working here, we've got a huge servant just below our screen here where we can do a lot of things, you know, but we don't want to make things appear from here and then take them out of here. And I think it's a great tip. And I would take this, and this was in my left hand, but this is in my right hand, and as I do this, I hold it back, it looks tinier. And then I just kind of swoop down and grab it in my hand and bring it to the screen like that, and I make it appear. But then I was just taking it and bringing it out of sight like that. But that's where it came from. So I have to keep that in mind. So when I take this off and show it, I take it out of the screen this way. So it appears out of one way, but it goes out this way, and I drop it on my table. So again, it's just a nice perspective of the camera by doing this. This is just, you can see it's tiny. It looks normal there, it looks really here, big here, or small there. If I hold it really close to the screen, it looks really huge, right? But that could be because it might be. And again, they're not expecting this. And then you can go, oh, I see your faces, you guys, I know, right? And so again, it's just a great way to, as a warm-up during your show, to do that. But again, warm-ups still are the same thing even in your virtual shows, okay? So one of the first things I did when I got really interested in video was 2 years ago when I made a band appear on a football field. And I called my buddy Kevin James, and then he turned me on to Franz Harari. And basically I produced it, and I brought Franz Harari in to direct this. And it was a neat thing. I needed it for a particular library season that I could use as promo. But this is what really got me ignited about using video. So take a watch. Hey, I'm Ken Scott, and welcome. We're in this beautiful football field. It's empty right now. It's completely empty, but if you like music and magic, you're gonna like this, because right now we got my buddies here on this platform, and don't take your eyes off this, because what's gonna happen, one shot on this football field, the way you see it here is the way it's right here. Check that out. Ready? Raise it up, guys. Ready? Here we go. Don't blink, all right? On the count of 3. 1, 2, and 3. Look at that. A band, a real live 90-piece band. You don't see that every day, do you? A real football band right here. Take a look. Yeah! So that was kind of what got me started doing video and realizing how strong video can be. So even as we come out of our pandemic that we're in and we get back into doing in-person shows, I'm still going to use video in some way because I think it's a strong way to promote yourself. You may have saw the first clip I did with the watch, and this is going to be great. And I didn't get this. A lot of this stuff I didn't buy. I only bought it because I needed it for virtual. So I would say, hey, think of a card. You got one, think of one card, but do it quick because, time ran out. Yeah, I think this is a great trick to do if I'm doing, like, for instance, a school show. I can send them this clip and let them play it on their in-school studio TV shows they have and have this play this to kind of promote my show. Or if I'm doing a cruise ship, this is a great trick to come out on, before I come out on stage, do this and throw it on the big screen on a cruise ship or any type show you're at could be an auditorium or wherever you're performing, but it's just a good thing to do video with. And a good trick to do quick magic with. I don't know if I would do this live in person for them. I just think it's a great video trick, and you can use this, for any type of venues you're playing when you're going to show video. So one of the things I want to show you is a card trick, and many of you have this particular prop, but forcing a card can be difficult to do. And what I would do is I would have a card forced, and what I do on my deck of cards, I have a card short, and I just dribble through the cards, and I hit that spot. It's about a little more than half in there, and when they say stop, it just automatically stops on the force card. But meanwhile, I put this on my shirt like this. This stays in my shirt like that. And that way, that's another thing. When you play into the camera, you got to make sure that you are playing to the camera, and they can see that indeed you are playing just for this, and that you're not. If you sell that you have this below you, that you have the Savant, then they may think, he went down below. But if something stays in sight, then you're okay for the most part. And I'll show you an example of that. But let's say I forced, the 8 of hearts. So I go, now remember, this has been here the entire time, this envelope. Would you be amazed if your card was actually in here? Check it out. Your card was the 8 of hearts? It wasn't the 3, was it? Was it the 4? Was it the 5? 6, 7? It was the 8 of hearts. It was the 8 of hearts right there, the 8 of hearts. And so you can see how you can use TV, and you probably have a loan card. You probably have one of these. And so all I do is take an envelope, I take it and I cut the back off. Then I cut me a little slit right there so I can you can see where it's about a 1/2 inch cut in there. It's not just to cut the bottom, it's really cut. And then I have this below the screen. I have the 3. This is in my pocket. Then as I go to the screen, I just got to have the bottom part just below the screen enough so I can start loading. And so I'll show you from what I'm really doing. This is kind of below the screen, and this is coming in from below. And because I've got that little ledge, I got to hit that ledge and start pushing up. And once I see it's there, I reach in, I take the 3. Is it the 3? And then once I realize I've cleared the bottom, it's all the way in there, I can start backing out of the shot a little bit. And then it becomes almost impossible, like where'd that come from? So again, what it looks like on TV is you have it here, Remember, this has been here the whole time. Do you remember your card? What was your card? Your card was the 3? Was it the 4? Was it the 5? Was your card? Oh, your card was the 8. And so you can see it's a great illusion because as you back out of the shot a little bit, they can definitely see that. So again, we've got these long cards. Typically, we're used to strolling. We're doing this stuff here, right, in the restaurant. And that's not quite as magic. This is magic because you're doing this and then it's coming out of this. So again, it's TV magic on this. A little bit of cheating on this, but hey, you've got that servant. Why not use it? It's what I say. You know, it's right there with you. So use that. Also, when I'm doing my virtual shows and I want the kids to be involved, if I want the families to be involved, I will have a kid maybe take their cell phone. And because, you know, how do you get them to participate and be involved in the show? One way is that I have them take their, let's say either their parent's cell phone or maybe even a remote control. Remote control typically is what I'd like to use, and have them aim it towards the screen like this. And as they aim it, I go press that 2 button. And then I've got this right here. I go, hey, I've got this magic cube here. Just if you would press that 2 on the count of 3. You ready? 1, 2. And, oh, look at that. I know it's real candy. If I was there, I'd give you this candy if I was there in person. But we're not there in person. But anyway, that's the birthday kid virtually is doing this and making this happen. So it's kind of a neat moment there. And this is nothing more than the old trick that we used to get in magic kits where the little die changes into mini dies. It's just a bigger version of this where it obviously sticks to the top here. But you can put any kind of candy in there. It could change to money, whatever you want it changed to. But this is something that I used. This is what I used it for my video. Take a look. Okay, so again, that was just something that it was Gustavo Riley who was selling these, and I bought one at a convention, I think, and I thought this would work great in the virtual shows, and it does. But as I'm coming out of doing some in-person shows, this works great. Doing an in-person show too, just doing this, the kids love this, so it's a great prop to have. But really looks good on camera, and as you can see, it made for a great video that I can put on Instagram or Facebook or any of your social media things. Again, I try to think about how I can make a video in like less than 20 seconds. If I can do a 20-second or less video to pop on my social media, it's just that's where they are. That's where the young people are. It's where parents are. Young moms are watching that. So if you can find those video type things, do that and get that. But this is a great thing to do. Great way to use this prop here. Another thing you're doing, if you're going to play the screen, remember I told you can use this servant, but you have to make sure you don't use it against you. For instance, if you're doing anything like a Norm Nilsson vanishing Coke bottle or ketchup bottle, you have to be careful. For instance, in my show, I make a Rubik's Cube, and I'm going to solve this Rubik's Cube, I tell them. And I keep going through my show where I'm going to solve this cube. I keep telling them, we're going to solve this cube. I go back and forth, and I never do it. I never do it. Throughout the show, it's just there. I never fix it. And then the show's over. I go, that's the show. And then I could see kids going, you didn't do the Rubik's Cube. You didn't do the Rubik's Cube. But this is the same thing I do in a live show where this just is my last thing that I go to. So with that, I go to this, right? It goes in the bag. Now what I do is I want to make sure that the kids see that I'm in this shot. Now I don't want to be at this shot like this virtually because now the bottom is below the shot. So I have to make sure that I stay in my shot for this trick to pay off and work. Because I want them to see that this goes inside the bag and that they're going to count fairly. 1, 2, and then look, just like that, I solved the cube. See? I solved it. Now at this point, they're thinking, okay, there's 2 cubes. Remember, but if I go below the screen like this, just for a second, they think I just dropped it out. So I got to keep everything in this little circle here and not go out of the shot left or right, top or bottom. I got to stay pretty neutral here. And then I keep this, and then I put this on my table. That way they can see this. But this bag never leaves their sight or go below the camera. Because now they're going to start saying, turn it over, turn it over. And again, I'm going to do this, turn it over. But if I was to do this, I could have done something. So the trick is ruined. So you don't want to do that. So you want to make sure you do this. And if I go really high to the screen like this, they could also say I'm doing something. So I got to keep almost in the middle area of my shot here. And I turn over very slowly, keep it in the shot like this. And they go, oh, you're holding it. And then I start doing this. I start doing this. And then once they realize that I'm holding it, I take it and I just start smushing the bag. And then I start walking to the camera, and you can throw that right over the camera lens. And it's just a great, so remember, if you're doing any of that kind of Norm Nielsen ketchup bottles or the vanishing bottle or any of the Rubik's Cube type stuff where you're doing the vanishing, make sure if you're going to do it on virtual, you got to make sure you know where your camera lines are, because if you go blind under the shot, if you go in the Savant, they're going to follow you on that. So just be careful with that, all right? Just this little small tip that works. You got to make sure you know about that. Again, trying to get the kids to participate through virtual, it can be a challenge, but you want that, okay? You want that. One of the things I do for my young parties is I had this. You guys probably had this. This has been, it's the jumping silk or acrobatic silk. But I tell the kids, hey, I'm going to make this jump to here. Now, if I've got like 8 or 9 kids in a Zoom, I may unmute them all. That way I can get the feedback and hear them, because you got to have some feedback from some of these kids to do these tricks. So I'll just do the part where I turn around and I go, look, it jumped, look, it jumped, it jumped. And I do this back and forth bit, and they figure it out. Then finally someone's going to say, make it go to the middle. I go, come on, you can't make it go to the middle. You can't do that part. Ooh, okay, sorry. I'll tell you what, you guys can help me. And if it's a birthday kid, I have them hold the remote control. I said, see the 2 button on there? Press the 2 button. No, don't press the 2 button yet. Okay, don't press that 2 button just yet. You wait till I count to 3, then press the, okay, you're doing it too soon. Don't press that 2 button too soon, okay? You're doing it way too soon. All right, now once you do that, you're going to press the 2 button. I want you to look right here at it, okay? And you're going to press the 2, but I'm going to do that. Well, I'll keep my hand over that way. So when I count to 3, oh, okay. Not funny, not funny, okay? It's going to jump to the cup. 1, 2, press the 2 button. Okay, apparently you didn't press the 2 button. And then there it is. So again, something I had for a long time that's just kind of been on my shelf, I never really used until I started doing virtual shows. I went, this is perfect. And again, it's getting them to use something on the other side. They could be in another part of the world, but they're doing magic here in my studio. So again, this is just acrobatic glasses. It's got a little fishing line here, and I got my thumb back here, and it's just jumping to the center. So you can have a lot of fun with this. Just a fun way to get kids interacting with you virtually, with them doing something, waving a invisible wand, or doing something with their remote control. But so many different things you could use. Then I'm going to show you one last thing here. The kids all know emojis. They know emojis very well. So I've got an emoji trick that I use, and I say, you got to tell me what these emojis are, because I'm not quite sure what these are. And they'll say, that's angry. And then I go through the cards, and they go, oh, that's sleep. They're sleeping. And the kids all know these. Oh, that's happy. Let's see. We got, oh, what's this one? Oh, that's the doctor. He loves you. He's trying to fix you. Okay, good. Oh, look at this one. Ugh, that's I hate broccoli. And then you got, oh, the kids go, oh, that's love. So then I have someone choose one of these cards, and what I would do, I would have the kids, I would pick someone on the camera. I go, I'm going to take these cards from the bottom to the top, and I want you just to say stop anywhere you want. I'll keep dealing until you say stop. Stop, right there. Let's see it. I don't want to look at it. I don't want to see it. It doesn't matter. I've seen it before. But what behind me here, this has been here the whole time. I actually drew this picture. Check this out. Look, I drew your emoji. It's a perfect match. Look, it matches. It matches. Okay, it's just a circle. Hang on. Let's pretend her name is Jordan, okay? Jordan, I'm going to draw. I could fix this here. I could fix this. Put a little smiley there. Oh, look, I'll even put hello on here for you. I'll put hello right there. Put some eyes on you as well. And look, I think this will match the picture that you did. And look, I'll put a check mark here too. Look, that's a perfect match. See? I even say hello on there. It's got a perfect match. It matches yours. See what you... Okay, it didn't work as much as I thought. If I take this, though, watch the picture. Watch the picture. Watch the picture. Watch the pic. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It is working. Look, it did work. Oh, you guys should give me a thumbs up on that one. You should, come on. That's a thumbs up right there. Thumbs up. But the best part, Jordan, is you get this. You did this. I'm going to give this to you. Watch this. It comes off. That's right. And I'll send this to you. This will be your, as part of the show, a little souvenir from me to you. You get to keep this. So this is a fun trick. It's called like, and of course with social media, I mean, this is a popular trick to do. And you can make this, you can make different versions of this, but I just love the fact that giving something away to a kid and do it in a magical way. This reminds me of cardiographic, as you tear it off and you give them something. But the little girls love these things, and then I usually put a little sticker back here, my information, meld it to them. But this is going to be a trick that I'll play. I got this for just virtual, but I'm going to start using this in my in-person shows as well. But I just love the part of the ending where you take it off. It's kind of a nice cherry that you take this off, and you know, sometimes the kids can follow this trick because it is in some magic kits where you take it out and it changes. But when you take off the face, then they get kind of lost in it. And again, you force this too. So my force on this is I just have these in the bottom, the heart card. I'm just grabbing second card from the bottom like this, and when they say stop, just squaring it up and show them. So nothing fancy as far as that, okay? Very easy to do on that. But you know, this is a lot of cool stuff that you can do. It's easy, it's simple. And I was going to, as far as editing goes, you can use any editing program you want to use as far as your quick edits. I use a Mac, so my stuff's all Mac. So I use like Final Cut Pro, and I'm nowhere near professional at it. But it is something that I have to play with often to remember the stuff on it. One of the things I did was a trick. It was called Unmasked for Kids. This was it here. But I really wanted it for the mask because obviously everybody was wearing masks right now. So this was a neat thing I did for my Instagram video. And it was just putting this on, showing my hands like this, and then, oh, it turns to Spider-Man. Yeah, good. And then, Incredible Hulk. And then I would go to the camera with it. So I didn't use the book for this. Like in a show mode. Like this is a trick that you would do in show. I just wanted the 20 seconds to do with the mask it changing. And it looks really cool. I mean, the reaction on this is great. And again, it's on. It's just two-sided. And you're going to just take your hands and do that. Okay, you just slide one over the other. And then you got to slide both of these over now. And I'm going to do this. And it just looks real magical. It looks great for camera, but it looks great in person. You get oohs and ahs, but it looked great virtually as well. And the way you do it virtually is that if you had this book here, you would show the kids different pictures of heroes, and they got to tell you who they are, and you go through the book and they can see who these heroes are. And then this is nothing more than a coloring book that you force. One side, like that has the Incredible Hulk on there. I go through the book and they say stop, look at your hero, don't forget him. All right, then I go to the other side over here, and that's Spider-Man. So you have two forces. You can force both of them, one of them, but I force both, and then make one change to Spider-Man, make one do the Hulk, and man, this is great. But again, a quick edit, you got a 15-second quick magic trick that you can put on Instagram that I've done. And again, I do all my editing I do, like I said, is on Final Cut Pro. If you're a PC person, there are tons of editing softwares out there. There's tons of editing softwares you can use if you just want to use easy software type stuff to create this stuff. So don't be afraid of it. Just make sure you keep editing. But keep in mind, as you edit these videos, these short videos, use them to your advantage, and put them on your Instagram, your social media pages. But like, for instance, the watch trick that I showed you where it changes, the card changes to a watch. That's going to be great, like I said, just to do before a show starts. You know, a lot of times the show starts before the show starts. So I've learned so much from this. What I'm going to do, if you guys want, I have something, I want to send you my gear sheet. So if you guys will go to kenscottproducts.com, and you're going to see my gear equipment. You're going to see, it's going to have a picture of me. It's going to say my gear PDF file, I believe that's what it's called. It's $10, but I'm going to give it to you for free. And all you got to do is go to checkout, and when you check out, just put in the word free as the coupon code, free. All right, and that will send you a download of my entire gear that I use, down to what lights I'm using, down to what camera I'm using, even down to my Stream Decks, to my ATM Mini. I'm using a lot of different equipment here to make things work. I mean, I can even switch cameras, do all that stuff, but I've got all this stuff set up here and the different lights that I'm using. This is nothing more than just a background that looks like the brick wall. Then I have green screen in here. But there's also, I did a 3-hour workshop. You'll see that on there as well if you're interested in that on my site. But if you're interested in any of the products that I showed you today too, again, go to kenscottproducts.com. If you see anything in there you like that maybe I did today, or if you see some stuff that you think you might be able to use, hey, support. My daughter has to go to college, but I can give you some discount too. If you go in there and you type in 10%, just type in 10% at the checkout in the coupon code. Just type in 10%. You're going to get 10% off your order. It'll save you some money on that. All right. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this. You know, this has been a big learning curve for a lot of us, and I'm happy that we've learned this. I think many of us that got into the virtual area early, I think we all learned stuff. I know my buddy who's in production, he says, you guys have learned stuff in 6 months that has taken years for people to learn. So I think had not this pandemic occurred, I never would have learned any of this. I would have procrastinated. So now that I've got this all set up, I can shoot a video really quick. I can shoot a video very quickly. I can edit it very quickly. And again, I think some of the things that's going to keep on with this is that, again, just think about doing auditions or meeting with an HR department at a company that may book you. I think companies are going to want to hire us very quickly because a lot of these companies aren't going to go back to office. They're going to keep working virtually. But at some point, they're going to want to get together as a group. And I think bringing them together and having a happy time with a magician or a performer is something that's going to be in their cards, I think. So a lot of them, I know a lot of companies are not going to pay rent anymore. They're going to keep their employees at home. But again, they got to bring them together. Why not bring them together with us, magician or performer? So think about virtual. How can you do this stuff live and make it keep working? And that's one way I'm going to keep doing it. All right. So I hope you enjoyed this. Again, check a look at the website. It's kenscottproducts.com. If you want the free equipment list, just type in the word free at checkout and you'll get that entire PDF file for free. If you see any products you want, just type in 10% if you want any products and you'll get 10% off. All right, you guys have been amazing. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later. Take care. Be safe.
John from Invictus Magic. I wish this year we could be at NEMCON. Unfortunately, the circumstances we can't. They're gonna have a tremendous online event for you guys. I'm happy to bring to you. You can check out the website, www.invictusmagic.com. We're gonna be giving you guys a discount at 20% off of everything, and we'll even throw in a free gift for anybody that places an order as well. All right, you guys have a great convention. Sorry that we couldn't be there. Be good. Hope to see you next time. Peace out.
Next up, we have a performance by award-winning magician Kayla Drescher. Kayla is also a podcaster and has a fantastic podcast called Shazam. You can follow Kayla at magicinheels.com and go please listen, like, and subscribe to her podcast Shazam at shazampod.com. At the end of April, Shazam is hosting their first online magic convention as well, the Online Wonder Gala. Go to shazampod.com for more information. Enjoy.
Hello, everyone at NEMCON. Thank you so much for allowing me to be with you this weekend. I'm very excited as someone who, as Adam said, is originally from Connecticut, but also was a booked performer at NEMCON in 8th grade. I'm very excited to be back. So I want to start off our time together with a classic illusion of magic, and that is the illusion where a magician saws someone in half. So whoever here is closest to Los Angeles, if you can just pop on over, mask it up. If you want to just lay down or grab the blade of steel. Anybody? All right, a resounding no. So instead, obviously, I'm in my home. I don't own that illusion. So instead, we're going to do this to a much smaller and safer, more virtual friendly scale. So instead of that person to be sawed in half, we are instead going to use this empty bottle of delicious Josh wine. Josh wine is delicious and vegan. I live in LA now. And then instead of the blade of steel, so this will be the person, the blade of steel will be played by this equally as terrifying rubber band. Thank you for your enthusiasm. It's fine. It's a rubber band, but they come in a pack of 500 for $7.99. So it's a great deal. And this rubber band, like the blade of steel, will go straight through the solid neck of the wine bottle like the blade through the person. And it will look like this on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Magic. Yeah. All right. No one was impressed by that. And that's fine because I was cheating. That was just an example. It will look like this when it's ending, but no, I went over top and I don't want you to think that I'm cheating. This is a magic show. So instead, to prevent me from cheating at all, can I get a hand? There it is. Perfect. It's well choreographed. So the hand will not let me go over or underneath the bottle. I will have to go straight through. On the count of 3, the amazing saw a person in half illusion. 1, 2, don't let me go over, very good. 2, 3. And that's when the rubber band can go straight through. What? Classics. All right, now most of us here are magicians, but you might not actually know how this trick is done. So do you want to know? I'll tell you. This is a special weekend. It's NEMCON. Okay, thank you, hand. Beautiful. So what happens is this rubber band, it's pretty much contained in the rubber band, right? So this rubber band is well, it's basically a fractal. Yeah, so you insert its diameter measurement into a Turing machine, it repeats over and over again. But then when you have the coalition of friction, the Y variable from the pressure against the wine bottle, it then breaks. Cool. Well, I lost Bill Hoagland. So instead, here's what's going to happen. Here, a much better explanation, much too fast for us to see, is this rubber band, when applied with the pressure to the bottle, will actually turn invisible, which makes it flexible enough to go straight through the bottle, and then it turns visible again, and that's how it's done. And I've said a lot of words and showed you absolutely nothing. So we'll start off here and try to slow down that invisibility just a touch. Hopefully you'll be able to catch it. Can you not see it? And then see it passes straight through the bottle. You see that even though it's invisible, it still is there. It still has the stretchy elasticity property. We'll turn it back visible though. You can check out the rubber band. You see no breaks or tears. The wine bottle, it is solid, and that's the amazing saw a person in half illusion. Hey. The magic dance. Thank you very much. Now, as mentioned, I am originally from Connecticut. I grew up in Wallingford. So as you know, thrilling time. Wallingford's not very exciting at all, but my life was very different than most other people in Wallingford, mainly because of my parents. Both of my parents were much older in their lives when I was born. My dad was 44, my mom was 48. So I relate a lot to the Golden Girls. And they had very different careers. My dad was a state police officer in the gambling unit, and my mother is a 5-time national judo champion. I didn't date much. And now my parents are still in Wallingford. They're in their late 70s. They ride Harley Davidson motorcycles. I have no answers. But in their late 70s, older age, they love to give me all these gifts, but they're always in the exact same form. They always come in gift cards, which are perfect if you love to shop. However, I do not. So I have amassed this collection of gift cards. I swear this is real. I have these gift cards. These are all of them since I moved out of their house maybe about 8 or so years ago. I just have all of these gift cards still with money on them. What's cool is that they'll write little notes on the gift card. So this one says, "Congrats on the new apartment. LOL, mom and dad," which only recently they found out does not mean lots of love. This was from my dad on Father's Day. Cute. For Hanukkah, we're not Jewish. Happy birthday to Whole Foods. You see there's Bed Bath & Beyond, Victoria's Secret, clearly from my mother, Starbucks, Amazon, in pounds, a Visa gift card, many different locations. Now, as I said, I am not a big fan of shopping, but I think shopping is tolerable when you get to go with a buddy. So Jeff, will you actually be my buddy on this? Will you join me on a shopping trip?
Sure.
Yes, everyone welcome Jeff to the spotlight. Hey Jeff, how's it going?
All right. How you doing, Kayla?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Where are you from, Jeff?
Connecticut.
Where? Oh, you could be specific.
Haddam.
Say it one more time.
The town of Haddam.
Oh, Adam, great, great, great. Awesome. Well, thanks for coming in to NEMCON and joining me in this recording. Now, Jeff, what we're going to do is I'm going to riffle through. I'm just going to sort of drop gift cards in the fancy magician way. Whenever you want, just say stop, and that will be the location where we go shopping. Go ahead.
Stop.
Now, do you want the one in my left hand or the one next in my right hand?
One in your left hand is fine.
The one in my left hand. Now, I don't want to look quite yet. I don't want this to influence the next adventure in our shopping trip. Oops, as I toss all the gift cards everywhere. So we'll leave that right there atop the fun jam jar. Now, Jeff, do you ever make lists when you go shopping?
Always.
Always. Brilliant. Let me just get this out of the way. So you always make lists. I do as well. And I actually make lists, of course, on cards as a magician. I highly recommend this for all the magicians in the audience. It's much easier to keep track of them. And then you can do a fun little game where you classic force yourself the thing you need that week. So you could also do, so I make lists. So you and I, on our shopping trip, we could be buying some yarn or a new bike. Ooh. Dog food. Do you have a dog?
No, I don't.
All right, well, you got to get on that. Adam has great dogs. I'm just saying. So there are a lot of different things. There's dog toys for your eventual dog. You can grab a notebook, power tools. Ooh, that's fun. Tissues, lots of different things. So the first thing, we're going to find the first item on our list. This is not the one that we're ultimately going to get. It's just on our list of things to purchase. So I'm going to lift up a small packet of cards, Jeff. Whenever you, I just want you to let me know, is that okay? Do you want me to add some cards or do you want me to take some away?
Add a few.
Add a few. How's that?
Few more.
Few more? I like it.
Maybe one more.
One single more. I like it. There is okay, Jeff. You happy?
Good. Perfect.
All right, let's see the first item on our list. Hey, car seat covers. Because when you have a best friend, you buy car seat covers. For sure. Now, Jeff, I'm going to lift up a much larger chunk of cards. Same game. Go ahead and tell me more, less, happy there.
Less. Few less.
Ooh, less. Changing it up.
Good there.
Good there. All right, let's see the second item on our list that we ended up not purchasing. Hey, it's a notebook. Every magician at a convention needs a notebook. All right, so Jeff, we bought car seat. We were going to get car seat covers. We were going to get notebooks. But instead, when we walked into wherever we walked into, there was an object on the shelf, and we were super excited to see it. We weren't expecting to get it. It was a complete surprise, but we just grabbed it, and it brought us such joy. And you could have chosen how many cards we grabbed. You dropped some, you added some, you changed your mind a couple times. I loved it. There's going to be one item here amongst the face up items and then the face down items. So let's grab our first face down item, making it completely and utterly random. So the object that we grabbed, this is great. Look, we got a green gel pen. Was that part of your childhood as well, or was it just the 90s?
Not mine.
Oh, gel pens are a blast. Oh, you got to get on the gel pen train. We always used to get in trouble for drawing on our own skin. Good times at Highland Elementary. So now we bought a green gel pen, and then we have our location. Let's see for the first time where we went shopping. Cool. It's a happy birthday gift card, but can you see the logo just there in the corner? Where are we going shopping, Jeff?
Starbucks.
Yeah, Starbucks. Gel pens. Really expanding inventory. Jeff, this has been such a blast. Thank you so much for joining me on the shopping adventure. I've had such a great time that I do want to give you a gift. Oh, sorry. The meeting has been upgraded by the host and now includes unlimited minutes. Congrats, Adam. I'll just take it from this moment. I want to give you a gift.
Starbucks.
Right, nothing in the lid, nothing fishy, but let's go into the packet and we should have a green gel pen. Congratulations, Jeff. I will mail this to Haddam as soon as the show is over. Thank you so much. Everyone give it up for Jeff. Appreciate you. Thank you so much. Remove spotlight. That's fun. Oh, that was so much fun. That was finally shopping was somewhat was much more tolerable than normally. I did mention I grew up in Wallingford, but I actually, I had done magic in Wallingford. I've been to NEMCON for almost every year of my childhood magic life. But then I went off and I went to college. I was never going to be a magician, and I actually studied environmental science. I focused in green energy. It was a blast. Sometimes now I like to bring in the science and the magic element to combine them. And here's that moment now. So I have here a couple of these coins. 4 of them, actually, if you can see 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, these coins are made of different percentages of copper. They're very old English pennies. So these are not circulated now as currency. So this particular English penny is made of 63% copper. This one's 65, this one's 68, this one's 73, which means they all have a different melting point. So we're going to do a little experiment now. So fun. Each coin one at a time with just my body heat and the Los Angeles always on fire atmosphere. We're going to travel 1 coin. It's going to melt in my left hand, evaporate, travel to my right, cool off and congeal into my right hand. What? Let's do it. This one will go first as it is the one with the lowest melting point. And can I have David, would you mind unmuting yourself for just a moment? I'm going to need you to make sure you're keeping me nice and super honest. David, is that cool?
That's cool.
Yes. Now, David, can you just please confirm how many coins do you see there in my left hand? 4. Brilliant.
4 coins.
Watch very close. Look. Give it just a little bit of that body heat. Oh, there it goes. Can you see all the fun little bloop, 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 bloop? There they are. Okay, we'll grab here, there it is. And look, now in this hand, you said 4. We have 1, 2, that's 3. What? Science. That's the science dance now. David, we'll do the next one. So we'll do this one, yes? So once again, can you please confirm, David, how many do you see in the left hand?
I see 3 coins.
Brilliant. And how many in the right one?
1.
All right, watch. This one's really cool because as it cools off, you should be able to hear it. And that leaves us with 2 coins in the left and 2 in the right. Now this one has a little bit more trouble as the melting point's a bit hotter. So I'm going to give it a little jump start. Great. Can you confirm how many in each hand? It should be the same number, David.
2 2 of each.
Brilliant. Watch. This one actually will go the quickest. And that leaves us with 1, 2, 3 coins there. Now, David, you have been so super awesome sauce. I want to actually have you participate in this next part of the experiment. So this time, boop, 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 we're going to employ the use of the joyous jam jar. So do me a favor, David, what I need you to do is just confirm first off, how many coins do you see on the table going into the jam jar?
4 coins.
Nailed it. Good job. Look, so all 4 coins, I'm no longer going to touch them, gather them up nicely with the jam jar. Now, David, this is where I need you. Can you, from where you are, can you grab one of the coins from inside of the jam jar? All of the heat is helping melt that copper coin. Well done. Give it a little squeeze. Make sure it gets nice and melty, starts to evaporate. Great. And then go ahead and can you just throw it right into all the particles into the left hand? Yeah, that's good. Give it a little blow, and that should cool it off. David, you're an expert at this. Did you feel it, though? Did it feel like it actually, you picked up a coin and put it in there? Or did it feel a little wonky? It did?
Yep.
Oh, good. That's good because you did wonderfully. Well done. And then underneath the jam jar, we should have, that is, oops, 1, 2, 3 coins under the jar. David, you did such an amazing job. We're going to do this a little bit of a different way this time. This time, we're going to go from the left hand into the jam jar. So I'll take 1 coin and place it into the left hand and the jam jar into, bloop, just there. So same exact game. Can you go ahead and grab the coin from the left hand? Beautifully done. Give it a good heat. Get it all melty, and then throw all the particles underneath the jar and give it a little. Yeah. Did you feel it?
Yep.
You did? You did a great job. Look. Not in the left hand. Let's check under the jam jar. We should have. That is 1, 2, 3, 4 coins under the jam jar. Well done, David.
Very good.
That was great. Actually, I'll show you probably the coolest part about these coins is although they have different melting points, all 4 just there. Give it just a second. There it goes. Can completely melt away. Give it up for David for being so awesome. Thank you so much, David. That was
Thank you.
great. I'll finish off with one fun thing. As we all are magicians, it's always fun as you're jamming with other magicians. You kind of get to show off a bit of your card magic skill, right? But it's been a while since I've been able to jam with a whole bunch of magicians just on card stuff. I want to show you what I've been practicing, especially during this pandemic. So I have here a fairly well shuffled deck of cards and a dog hair. That's not part of the method, I promise. So we have here a shuffled deck of cards, and as you probably know from handling decks of cards over and over again, you know that a decks of cards, they come in what's called new deck order. That's ace through king of each suit, clubs, hearts, spades, and diamonds. When you open up the deck, you give it a good shuffle, and then you're ready to, let's just say, play a game of poker. Yeah, a lot of magic comes from card cheats, poker cheats, and so here's a good example. I want to show you one. This is called dead cutting. It's the ability to say, okay, I have a certain hand. I definitely need, say, the ace of hearts. I'm gonna need the ace of hearts. I will need to memorize the order of the cards. I did forget to do that, so let's make sure we got that down, or dead cutting is not gonna work at all. There it is. Boop, boop, boop. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, great. I think I got it. There's some double 8s in there that I think they'll give me a bit of trouble, but I'll give it a little bit of a shuffle so you know that I'm not cheating in any weird way. And now, ace of hearts. Ooh, I think I got really close. Is this the king of diamonds? Did I cut to the king of diamonds? Oh, I did cut to the king of diamonds because they were so close. The ace of hearts is just here. Whew. Oh my goodness, I'm embarrassed. But let me show you more. Okay, I'll show you more. This will be totally worth it. Let me grab all of the spades. Now, the spades are obviously the suit that has the highest value. Why, you may ask? Because if you are playing a game of poker, you instantly win the game if you have a royal flush. I think that is all 13 of them. So let me show you currently the shuffled order of the spades. So we have the ace, queen, 2, 4, 9, 5, 7, 3, 8, 10, 6, jack, king. Well shuffled. Now, as magicians, you'll know this, but if you're not a magician, this is a very difficult move. It's called culling. It's the ability to rearrange the cards as you're seemingly just showing their shuffled order. Because now look, there's the ace and the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, jack, queen, and king. I've practiced not a long time. Now that was just the spades. Those were only 13 cards. Do you know what? Let's make this a little harder for me. I'll show you the order, but I'll look away. I almost forgot their order. There you go. Oh, double 8s. Double 8s. That's going to mess me up. I knew it would. Because now we should have king, queen, jack 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Those are the diamonds. Yep. And brand new deck order. Thank you all so much. I'm so glad I was able to be with you today. Enjoy the rest of the show and the convention. My name's Kayla.
Hey, it's Meir Yedid, and I want to show you my latest release. It's a gigantic color-changing knife. You could show it as a white knife. You could also show it as a black knife. And the recommended pattern, believe it or not, is designed especially for New Yorkers, because this is such a really big knife. You can walk up to people on the street as if you're a street magician and ask them, would you rather be mugged with a white knife or a black knife? Completely free choice. Would you rather be mugged with a black knife or a white knife? Of course, I'm kidding. I'm not really selling this. This is how I earn a living. But I would like to get serious for a second, and I want to thank everybody at NEMCON for making me the guest of honor. What? I'm not the guest of honor? Oh, you just want me to say some nice things about NEMCON and do a trick and then give everybody a tiny discount? No, a big discount? A huge discount. Oh, a huge discount. Oh, yeah, I can handle that. All right. Are you ready? Okay. Hi, this is Meir Yedid, and I want to show you, before I show you any magic, I want to thank the people at NEMCON. It's really one of my favorite conventions. I've been going there longer than probably most of you have been alive, and or at least got into magic. And I love the organizers. They always treat me really, really well. I love this convention. And really, the real reason I go there every year is, well, it's driving distance. If this was in Alaska, But I would like to talk about two items I released last year. They're two great card tricks on their own, but together they make a wonderful routine. By just adding the cards from these two tricks into your regular deck, you could do a wonderful routine with it. And I'd like to show you the actual trailer that I made for this. Take a look now. I'd like to show you something with these 4 queens. Now, one of these queens is very special. Do you think it's a black queen or a red queen? Red. Heart or a diamond? Heart. Okay, let's see if the Queen of Hearts is a special one. You see, all these queens have blue backs except for one queen that has a green back, and that was the one you wanted, the Queen of Hearts. But I know what you're thinking. What if you would have selected a different queen? Let's say the Queen of Diamonds. Well, if you would have selected the Queen of Diamonds, I would have waved my hand over the 4 queens, and one of them would now have a purple back with a picture of dogs on it, and that would be the second selection, the Queen of Diamonds. But what about the Queen of Clubs? What if you'd have selected a black queen, the Queen of Clubs? Well, once again, all I'd have to do is wave my hand over the 4 queens, and one of them turns red. The Queen of Clubs is the only card with a red back. Well, what if you would have selected the Queen of Spades? I know a lot of people ask me about that because, we already know the Queen of Spades has a blue back. What would I do? Well, if you would have selected the Queen of Spades, I'd have waved my hands twice, snap my fingers once, and show you that now all the cards have red backs except for one has a blue back, and that's a special one, the Queen of Spades. But what's going on here? A second ago, I said only one queen was special. Well, I kind of lied. All the queens are special. But all the queens are also very different, just like all of us. We're all very different. You see, we have the blue queen, the purple queen, the green queen, and the red queen. But you selected the Queen of Hearts. I'd like to show you something using the Queen of Hearts. And we'll use 2 other cards just for contrast. Let's say the 2 black 9s. 2 black 9s, 1 queen. Blue back 9s, green back queen. Actually, you know what? I'll leave the queen face up or face down. Remember, black 9, queen, black 9. Watch very carefully. This is kind of like a stage illusion, but done up close with cards instead of people or animals. Keep an eye on that queen because it's going to create the illusion of growing. I don't know if you could tell, but can you tell the queen looks like it's actually growing? The more I twist, the more it grows, the more it grows. It seems to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, you'd swear it's about twice the size of what it was before. But keep an eye on this queen. Watch carefully. This is all an illusion. You know that's impossible. The queen is the only one with a green back. The 2 black 9s have blue backs. And of course, that's impossible. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. If you follow my product lines, you're probably familiar with it. There are two items I released last year. One is Jim Swain's Capitulating Queens, and the other is the Stretching Queen, based on the Peter Kane routine. These two routines, if purchased separately, would cost you somewhere about, I don't know, about $1,000 if purchased separately. But I'm supposed to give you a huge discount, so I'm going to let you have both of them for only $20. That's a saving of $980. That's the huge number you wanted, right? $980 saving. You could have both of them for 20 bucks. But wait, that's not all. That's not all. I'm going to pay for the postage. I'm going to pay for the credit card fees. I'm going to pay for the PayPal fees. So both of them, flat $20, you get both of them. But you can't really tell my boss about this. So it's got to be done like on off the website. So what I need you to do is, using PayPal, send $20 to Meir@mymagic.com. That's $20 US dollars, Meir@mymagic.com. Oh, by the way, I'll ship this anywhere on the planet. I don't care. Even Mars. I got a satellite dish going there. Meir@mymagic.com. Just send me $20 and your address, and I'll ship this to you. By the way, there is some fine print. This offer expires at the end of April. So if you send me the money after April, I'm going to keep the money and not send you anything. So you've been warned. Send me the 20 bucks. PayPal, Meir@mymagic.com. You get these two. And have fun at the convention, and I hope to see you live next year.
Next up, we have a lecture by Harrison Lampert. Harrison's a magician who performs frequently at the Magic Castle. He's part of the Groundlings improv comedy troupe in California, and as an actor, he's appeared in nationally televised commercials. Harrison's going to be giving us a lecture on how to add character and premise to our magical performances. You can follow Harrison at harrisonlampert.com. Stalk him on Facebook and Instagram. That's what I do.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. So today we are going to be talking about character work and how we apply that to magic. So there's a lot of different things to touch on with this. So I'm going to be jumping around a little bit, but I have a special thing for all the NEMCON attendees, which I'll tell at the end. So first of all, let's just kind of answer the main question: what is a character? Right? Because when we're performing, whether we're performing as a magician or as an actor, there's a lot of different ways to go with that. So in the magic standpoint of it, most of the time when we perform, we're performing as ourselves. And I like to classify that more as a persona as opposed to a character. So there's kind of two elements to that. There's if you're performing as yourself, and then if you're performing as someone else. So if you're performing as a different person than yourself, that is in the realm of a character. Otherwise, you're mainly just you. So your how you feel about things, all that stuff, is just you. Whether it's heightened or not, that it can still be heightened, but it's still you. So it's not necessarily in the realm of a character, which is a different person from yourself. Now, let's talk about just the character element. You'll notice that there are similarities, there are crossovers between the persona element and the character element, because you want similarities, just the character is someone different. So what is a character? There's three different, I like to make it kind of like a tripod, or three different pillars that make a character. So one is the look. How do you look? Whether how are you moving? So your physical nature in terms of how you look. So whether you just for your physicality, how is that different as you move around? Because this movement and how you move like this is very different than this movement and how you move like that. So that's how you look. And then how are you dressed? So that tells us as well about who you are as a person. So for example, these pair of glasses, someone wearing that is someone very different than someone who's wearing these pair of glasses. It's subtle, but it does make a difference. So that's one element. Then we have your sound. How are you speaking? So that's your voice. How does your voice sound? Is it higher pitched? Is it lower pitched? Whatever your voice tends to be, that's an element too. There's also cadence and your tempo. So how you are speaking, not just how you sound, but the rate with which you are speaking allows you to sound little different than if you were to do a different cadence or a different tempo. So that those two elements, your physicality and how you look, what you're wearing and all that, and how you sound, how you speak, how you talk, those are two elements. The most important element is the third element, and that is your point of view, how you see the world. How does this character that you are creating, how does that person see the world? Now, if you took away, because the point of view is the most important, so the point of view will affect how you look, how you speak, how you talk. It will affect all of that. So if you were to take away the look, if you were to take away the voice and keep the point of view, the character should still be there. A funny voice and a wig does not make a character. Point of view makes a character, because that's how we react to things. That's how we, I like to use this example. A person's walking down the street and they see a penny on the ground, and one person will react to that, finding that penny like it's nothing, like it's just like a crumb. That's one way of viewing it. Or it makes their day. It's like their perfect birthday present. That's another way that someone could see it. Though that's point of view, right? That's how and everything affects that. So for example, let's say your point of view is very specific. So actually, John, if you can help me with this, just as a little bit of a demonstration, I'm going to spotlight you. And great. So if I were to show you this tie, what kind of person do you think would wear this tie?
That tie, to me, I mean, just the style, it almost looks like a Mad Men era kind of style.
Great. Yeah.
So like late, like 70s, 60s.
Okay, cool.
So if I was to see somebody right now wearing it, if they were younger, I'd pinpoint them like maybe like hipster-ish.
Yep. Great. Cool.
In that regard.
Yeah, sounds good. And what about this tie?
That tie's a little bit more vibrant.
Mm-hmm.
Red seems like, to me, like a little more theatrical.
Mm-hmm.
And I always picture red as like the curtains of a theater.
Yeah.
And even in my own like stationery and stuff, I kind of have that red going on.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Cool. So then just one more tie, because I brought three. How about this tie?
So that one is more like a fun one. I mean, that one, I wouldn't picture somebody wearing that to like an interview,
right,
or something more professional, but maybe just like a fun event.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. The reason I asked that is because, looking at three different just ties alone express just what kind of person would wear them, right? So that person's point of view can be expressed just within their tie, or whatever piece of clothing they wear. I just have ties here with me now, but we want to, you can, there's a lot of different ways to give information as a character, but some of them, you don't need to speak in order to do that. So here's ways we give information as a character. There's stage picture. There are in improv, it's space work, but in this case, your props for magic, emotion, character, which we just talked about, and then dialogue, what they say, how they speak. So all those can give ourselves information. So you can, as a character, if you have a clear point of view, and your point of view is expressed how you dressed and how you move, people should hopefully be able to understand who you are before you speak. When you walk out on the stage, there should be an idea in someone's head of what kind of person this is. So every choice you make as a character needs to be intentional. How you move, how you dress, how you talk, but why do you do those things, right? And this is where we get into the specificity of the character. Why is it, and I always ask this whenever I watch a lot of magic, why? Why is this happening? So when we watch a character, what do they want? And that's a great place to start when you build a character. What does this person want? Do they want to be admired? Do they want to be validated? Do they, all those different wants? And then how do they go about getting what they want? And that is what the character, how the character behaves to reach that goal, right? And, you know, with magic, for example, if you're a character, why is this person showing us this trick? Or is this trick happening to them? Why are they, you know, what is happening? Why is it happening? What is the reason we're watching it? And all of those elements, and again, I know I'm kind of jumping around a little bit, but those questions are great questions to start in terms of building a character. Is just why are we watching this? And you know, in improv and an improv scene, when you know, when things were open and we were doing those, one of the things we would always do in an improv scene is make it a day of. Today is the day when, which gives us the reason why we're watching it. So, you know, what is today? Why are we watching it? And then what does this person want and how do they go about getting what they want? Does anyone have any questions real quick just on that? Adam, yes, hold on one sec. Let me add a spotlight for you. Yes, go ahead.
This is great information, Harrison. And I think from, let's say somebody's beginning, right? And they're just starting to, maybe they're getting away from just doing themselves, but like a heightened version of it, and they want to create a character. What would be the first step you of those pillars? What's something that maybe a first step or something that somebody drastically overlooks?
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Thank you so much. That's a great question. So if you're getting started and you want to build a character, you kind of can let your imagination run wild in terms of what kind of character you want to be. And that's the fun of it is, what do you want to say with it? Do you want to be, you want to satire the magic world? Do you want to play someone out, play someone outside yourself? So play someone that has a bit more confidence, that has or someone that doesn't have any confidence. Something to keep in mind though, is a lot of, when we're starting out, a tendency to, in terms of comedic elements, is to be bad at something, to be bad at magic, to not be good at it. And I would suggest you always want to be good at what you do. Other things, whether it be your personality or things outside of your control, can get in the way of that. But it's much more, we want to, you always want to do a good job. It's always, I can't recommend that enough. Always want to do a good job. And whether you're just missing something and it just kind of topples everything over. I do an act where I play a guy who's a podiatrist during the week. And on the weekends, he's a magician and he's really proud of the work he's done. And he's doing very simple tricks and he just wants to do a good job. And he wants to show off and he wants to show the work he's done. But when he comes out, he does an appearing cane and he bows and he knocks his whole suitcase over. And all the stuff in the suitcase goes all over the stage. And now including like a plastic foot. And now he has to go around and pick everything up. But he's not bad. Now he has to deal with this. He has something to deal with. He has business to deal with, which makes it more interesting. So when you're starting out, just ask yourself, what do you want to, what kind of character would you be interested in playing? And then you can build off of that. There's no, 99%, there's no wrong answer. There are a couple of things I would recommend not doing. And I imagine everyone hopefully should know what those things are. But it's up to your imagination. It's a fun thing to do, and you should do something that you would enjoy doing. That being said, and I'll just address one. I did get a few questions beforehand. One of the questions I got is your character like funny, mysterious, serious, David Copperfield-ish? How do you know what works, or is it based on your personality? So with that in mind, a character doesn't have to be funny. A character doesn't have to be serious. It can, or mysterious. That's up to you, what you want it to be. And again, it doesn't have to have anything to do with your personality because a character is outside of your personality. So with that being said, if you want to do comedy, you can do comedy. I would suggest whatever you decide to do, if you want to get into character work, the best way to do it is to put the magic down and be able to understand how to play a character without having to do magic. So take an acting class, take an improv class. I can't recommend improv enough, because improv, a lot of people think that it teaches you how to be quick on your feet. And it makes you comfortable enough to do that, but that's not really what it does. It allows you to be present, to listen, and to be organic in what you do. And that's so important in a character, is that it feels real and genuine, because if it's not genuine, the audience is going to know, and you're not going to be able to get what you want from that. Yes, Adam, I see your hand is up. Hold on.
Oh no, I think that was raised before, but I do have something else as along that. So when you're building that character, would you suggest, not everybody can, let's say, get an acting coach or a director or somebody of that nature, maybe just a good friend or somebody to make sure to look at you and say, hey, I don't think that prop fits in with that character, or this looks like, something that doesn't fit well, or the way that the way that your shoes look, or anything that that they can point out to you. But would you suggest getting somebody like maybe a friend wouldn't tell you those things because they want to be nice to you? Would you find, like I said, an acting coach or a director or somebody like that?
Yeah, I think, thank you for that. Yeah, I think for that, if you're looking for someone, if I'm sure we all know someone who can be brutally honest with us, especially in the magic community. And close friends are really good for that. And I think, and in my experience, if you're like, please be brutally honest, don't sugarcoat or anything like that, that'll be helpful. What I think the thing for the person who's developing it is making sure you're answering a couple of these questions. So it's, who is this person? And like, in what I mean by that is, what is their backstory? You can start there, building a backstory, building, why they got into magic, why they're doing that. And then how do they react to things? So an emotional connection is super important in that. And that's one of the ways of giving information is, when something happens, do they get angry? Do they get sad? Having an emotional response, an emotional connection is super important to building a character, because everyone has different emotions and everyone has a different emotional range. So I would say, I think, if someone doesn't have any experience in acting and any experience in improv, I would suggest the best place to start is by taking a class. Or working with someone that has, a background in this, or has, the experience to really point out those specifics, because it can be a very subtle thing. There's this, it can be as subtle as, how someone puts on their glasses. So like the difference of someone who puts on their glasses like this versus someone who puts on their glasses like this. It's just it's that subtle of a difference where, it just says something about this person. And that's called behavior. So behavior in a character is everything that's the character's doing where they don't need to say it. So how when something happens, what's going on in their face, how are they handling their objects, all those different things, that's behavior. There's a lot of different elements in this, and it's hard to, when you start just going, okay, what kind of person do I want to be? A name is specific, having a name. Also, when you play a character, give yourself a specific name to that character, and don't introduce yourself as you playing that character, just be that character. So you have your name, and then you're like, okay, we have this person. So what does that say? Also, something else that's very helpful, and I know I'm jumping around a little bit, is when you're thinking of a character, turn on music. And this is helpful for me, is play different songs and do a trick to that song and see how the music, listen to the music and see how that affects how you perform that trick, which is helpful in terms of building behavior. What kind of person will listen to this music? And then you can physicalize it. Some people work better on the outside and go in. Some people work better on the inside going out. If you give me I'm someone who I like to work with. I mean, I love working with mustaches. If you give me a mustache, whatever kind of mustache, it just ignites something in me. Maybe it's because I can't really grow one myself. Yeah. So with that, I would suggest, you can start with some music, listening to music. How does that help you? And then you can go from there, or, wear a hat, and what kind of person would wear that hat? And that's a very starting point you can make. A name, what do they wear? And then how do they, why are they doing this? Always ask yourself why with everything you do. Why are you doing this? And how do you feel about what you're doing? Why are you doing it? How do you feel about that? Right? And you don't have to be over the top emotional, but we do want to see that you are a human being. And so we want you to have emotional responses to everything, because do you like what you're doing? I would suggest, if you're creating a character, always choose someone who wants to be there, because as an audience, if we're watching someone who doesn't want to be there, then we're asking ourselves, why do we want, well, then why are we here? So you can do that. Another way you can play, start building a character is just do an impression of someone. Do an impression of someone you know. And who cares? It doesn't have to be a good impression. It can just be an impression, and see what comes from that. So with that, I'm going to take a couple of the other questions I have here, just because I want to make sure they're all answered. By the way, and if there are any other questions by anyone else, just let me know. Again, I know I do apologize that I am jumping around a little bit, but with this, the best way you can learn this is by doing it, because you can understand the information, but the application of it is very different. If you're going comedic, understanding the pace, and that's only going to be understood by actually feeling it. If you're going dramatic and you're trying to, put something out there to say something, understanding the emotional trajectory you're going through from start to end, where do you start versus where do you go? It's all, in application. John, yes, hold on. Let me bring you in. There you go.
So this might sound like a no-brainer question, but I think it's pretty valid.
Yeah.
I think it's more difficult. What do you think it's more difficult to do? Play a character or play yourself? And I feel like some people is like, well, it's easy to play yourself, but I think I don't know, maybe it's more difficult to play yourself.
That's a great question. And I think that, and I think that it's equal but different. It's similar in the sense of playing yourself. You still have to answer these same questions. They're just coming from you. Why are you here? What are you doing? And how do you feel about it? But it's just who you are and how you feel. Versus playing a character. The only difference with playing a character is there's more acting that needs to go in it, because everything you do as a character, and everything you do as yourself needs to be intentional and genuine, but you're pulling from a place and as a character, sometimes you're pulling from a different place that you might not know as well, or you're still trying to understand it. But sometimes we don't know ourselves, which gets us into, a very deep place of who are we, as a performer, because like for me, I don't perform as a character, I perform as myself, but I'm just a heightened version of myself. And what I do is I take the elements of my personality that I don't necessarily show while I'm just kind of hanging out, and I get to, mess with it on stage. Like something I love is, that I love is minutia, and I love playing with minutia, and I love having strong opinions about it. And that's me. That's what I enjoy, and that's where that comes from. I just heighten it to a place of a more theatrical way. But I definitely, you're definitely right that both are difficult in their own way, because in order to play yourself, you have to understand who you are. You have to be self-aware. You have to know, how do you come across? I didn't know for a long time until someone pointed it out to me, that it's very apparent who I am, whether I'm on stage playing a character or not, because my feet are turned out. And I had to work on turning my feet in order to get away from myself. And I didn't know I did that. And it's a very me thing, is to have my feet turned out when I'm standing or walking or whatever, because I have flat feet. I was bit by a duck when I was younger. It's a long story, but that I needed, you need to have, people being able to point that stuff out, which is, to your point, Adam, is that people who are very close to you, who are in the performance space, who just know you. Something that helps if you're looking to try and figure out, who am I? Who do I want to be on stage? Ask people who to give some adjectives. How do they see you? How do you come off as a person to them? And then you may find things you're like, oh, I can see that, or really? I didn't know that. And so being self-aware is super difficult to do, and it takes a long time to understand. Like, if you were to do, I'll put it this way: are you able to do an impression of yourself? And if you're able to do an impression of yourself, there's a good chance you understand how you come across. But on the but you still need to understand how to be genuine. You still need to answer that why, and why today, and what do you want, and how do you feel about it. On the character element, you're just doing it for someone else, but you have to be able to portray that person. So you have to understand, how do I, with behavior, the subtleties of how am I picking up an object? How am I moving about the stage? You're just doing all the work you're doing for yourself, but for someone else. So they all have their own challenges, but it's helpful, but both are kind of, they're the same, but different, I'll say. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Harrison, I think, like, when we worked together on my competition acts, and even that character, that's a character for that 8-minute routine for that competition. I'll tell everybody here that the basis of the character is that he is called onto stage to do his time, and he realizes that he left all of his props backstage. And so while we were discussing it, we talked about we really drilled down to the whys of the character, and talking about, like you said, he's not bad at what he does. He's in a competition. He has skill. He just doesn't have his props. And what does that mean? And even to the point where I created a set list of things that he was going to do. If he came, he has his props backstage, he was going to do this set list. I didn't even think about that. Like, what would he have done? What was he going to do? Who is he, as a character? And that really helped me flesh out, how am I going to handle having nothing, right? He was going to do linking rings, but he wants to do something that's kind of like linking rings. So he borrows some stuff, or tries to get through a linking rings routine, or his music comes on for his bits that he was going to do the linking rings too. And he's like, has to do a card trick to it for some reason. It's like that idea of like, oh, this is a real person. Why is he? Who is he? What's he about?
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, that's the thing. It's understanding what that person wants, and then the obstacles that are presented for that person, and then how do they overcome it? It's great when you have someone who people want to root for, and even if you're playing kind of someone who's a jerk, the audience, we still need to see that, like, the genuine want, right? They still have a want, they still have a need, They're just going about it probably in the wrong way to that character. So it just depends, right? But we have to, when you walk out on the stage as a character, we want to know something about you before you speak. Lights up, who are you? What do we see? How are you standing? How do you walk on the stage? You know, where are you looking? What is there music playing? What kind of music? And that's where we get into specificity, right? Every choice you make, whether it be as yourself or a character, needs to be specific. So like, for example, and this is kind of a very, very basic example, is I have a ball here. Well, what kind of ball? Is it a beach ball? Is it a bowling ball? Is it a bouncy ball? Is it a pinky bouncy ball? Is it, you know, get into the really, really specifics of what it is. The specifics of having a Coca-Cola necktie versus this cool chic red tie. It's very specific, you know, and specificity is super important. So whenever you say something, ask yourself, can I be more specific about what I'm saying? So like I'm wearing, I have a business meeting. Well, what kind of business? Who's it with? You know, all that different stuff. Now, you may not need to say it all, but we should have an understanding of what it is through either how you react to it, how you feel about it, what you're saying, and specifically how you're wording it. And that's, you know, specificity of language is also another thing, right? How do you weave together your sentences? And what kind of, like, how do you pronounce certain words that, you know, like, do you pronounce ball as ball? Like, that's a specific choice that a specific person would make. And you'd have to decide why they make that. Do they want to come off as sophisticated and they're just not? And all those make a character. And so I think I answered a lot of the questions that were given. I'll just go through them real quick. The first question is, when you talk about character, are you talking about dressing differently and acting like a different person? Yes, but it's also, the main thing is point of view with that, right? We want to make sure we understand how this person sees the world and what do they want, how do they feel about what they want, and how do they get it? And then is your character an extension of your personality, or is that something different? It's something different because, again, persona, and if you're performing as yourself, you have elements of it, because I mean, if you want to think about it, we're all characters, but you know, you're playing yourself. So if you're playing yourself, you need to know elements of your personality and heighten those elements you want to, and the other ones you don't. As a character, you're playing someone with a completely different point of view than yourself, someone who sees the world differently. And then, is there a way to figure out your character? A list of questions to ask yourself. Just kind of recapping some of the things we said is, ask yourself, what do you want? What does this person want? And how do they go about getting what they want? How do they feel about that? Again, these ways of giving information are super helpful. Stage picture, which is, what is the stage look like, right? How are things set up? Are things set up a little mismatched? Or everything is precise, right? All those specifics are helpful with that. Props, what kind of props are you using? And how do you handle those props? Because that tells us about who you are. Emotion, how do you react to things? How do you emotionally engage in what you're doing? And then how do you speak? What's your cadence like? And how do you go about, how are you specific about what you say? And how does that pay off everything that you've set up, right? Because when the stage comes up and we see you come out there, and everything with a character needs to pay itself off. So if you set something up as a character and then you do something else, then the audience is going, wait, what? I don't, and of course in comedy, we want twists, we want turns, but they have to be validated by the character. If you're doing character work, everything needs to be validated. Everything needs to make sense to this character and this world that you're creating. Because if it doesn't, that's what we get into where we call expensive laughs. Expensive laughs are laughs that they're jokes that get a laugh, but they come at the expense of the character, and then you have to work your way back so to building that world again, right? Because we've just done something outside of this world, and then we got to go back in, and now people are like, wait, where are we? So like in a scene, if we were doing an improv scene and someone says a laugh that doesn't continue the scene forward. That's called an expensive laugh, because now the scene is off, right? The scene is going in a different way, and now you have to work harder to get it back. And then yeah, so that's all the questions that we have here. I know, again, that we're jumping all over the place. Again, this topic goes deep, 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 and it takes a long, long time to be able to understand it, because the best way to understand it is to do it. With that being said, because this is NEMCON, and I'm so thankful to get to be a part of it, and I want people to really get a chance to explore this. If anyone is interested in doing this, I'm offering for NEMCON attendees a free session so we can meet and talk about it. If you're working on something, I'm happy to do a free session to attendees who are coming. So they just shoot me an email at harrisonlampert@gmail.com. And then just let me know that they were at NEMCON, and we'll set up a time to meet. Yeah, so unless there are any other questions, we can adjourn for the afternoon/evening, depending on where you are.
I think that's fantastic, Harrison. Thank you so much. And I would tell everybody, yeah, definitely contact Harrison. His insight is amazing and incredible. I mean, we worked like 4 or 5 weekends together, and it was just the growth I saw in the character and all the things you pointed out, which is fantastic. So definitely reach out to Harrison. I thank you so much for being here. Thanks for doing this for the first ever virtual NEMCON.
Yeah, of course. Thanks so much. This was
All
great.
right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you very much, Harrison.
And last but not least, we have an interview with AGT winner Mat Franco. John Capp and Bill Hoagland sat down virtually with Matt to talk about what he's been doing in his downtime, how he practices and performs magic. Matt even shows and teaches 2 magic effects. Follow him at mattfranco.com, but be sure to check out his great podcast that he does with AGT semifinalist and mentalist Eric Diddleman, Mind Over Magic.
Hello, everyone. My name is John Capp, and I'm the vice chair of NEMCON. Joining me today is Mat Franco, a Rhode Island native and season 9 winner of NBC's America's Got Talent. Matt currently lives in Las Vegas and headlines his own show, Magic Reinvented Nightly, at the Link Hotel and Casino. Please help me welcome Mat Franco.
Hello.
How are you, Matt? Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Matt.
So, Matt, what's an average day look like for you in the life of Mat Franco? Your shows are usually later in the day at nighttime.
Yeah.
How does that affect your life, your lifestyle?
Well, it's hard to say. I guess my answer to that now is different than it's ever been, because I haven't done a show in about a year.
True.
So it's been different. I've spent a lot more time studying magic, really kind of being a student of it, studying the history, the sleights, the psychology. I'm spending more time doing that than performing these days. But now spending a lot of time getting the new production off the ground as things sort of start to round the corner on getting better here in Las Vegas. So spending lots of time at the theater these days, working on the new show.
Cool. Now, I'm going to jump around with my questions a little bit. So I listen to your podcast, Mind Over Magic, that you co-host with Eric Diddleman. From listening to it, and you brought up working on your show currently, you mentioned that you're going to be changing about 1/3 of the material in your show. Is that due to restrictions, social distancing for COVID-19, or were these things that you want to change, but working 6 days a week, you just didn't have the time?
It's a mix. Some of it are things that can be done without any interaction, which is good in the current climate. Some of it were things I had in my head or on paper in my notes that I hadn't had the time to work on. Some of it is production wise. So like maybe 1/3 of the material less magic wise will change, but really closer to 90% of what the production will look and feel like will change. And that's just a result of having had a show at the Link in Las Vegas for the past 5 years, almost 2,000 shows. It's a perfect timing really for a refresh. So being kind of a serial optimist,
Okay.
using this time to be able to revamp the show 5 years in is the perfect time to do it. And that includes everything from scenic design to music to marketing. So all of that's being worked on now too, which is like such a fun creative process. I love it. So
Awesome. Now, with those changes, when the social distancing hopefully goes away in the near future and things kind of open up fully, are you going to go back to some old material, or are you kind of, or old ways in some cases? Or are you going to kind of just jumping forward?
pretty much jumping forward. Some of the things are probably retired forever. Some of them may come back. You just never know. But in terms of like production wise, there's no going back. We're doing some like actual physical work on the stage and the proscenium and the lighting and stuff that just, to me, brings it to a whole different level than where it has been. So I'm excited. It's mostly just steps forward. But the truth is, and magicians can relate to this, a lot of the stuff I'm working on too, I haven't had a chance to really test it enough in front of real people. You can show it to trusted friends, whether they're magicians or not, through Zoom, or even one or two people at a time. But until you really get that living, breathing audience to sort of take it in, I'm not sure whether they're things that will live in the show for long periods of time or not work at all. I mean, it's actually completely nerve-wracking, but exciting. It's part of the creative process. You know, part of my process is writing the script, but then when I get on stage, I don't necessarily follow it exactly. So part of my creative process happens on stage, which is why comedians do open mics and things like that. But not being able to sort of test things is really brings us all into unprecedented territory. So I'm as nervous as ever to get out there, even just to be on stage and have a bunch of people staring at me is not something I've done in just about over a year now. So I'm anxious to see how much like riding a bike it is, because you'd probably agree doing magic is a little bit more intricate than riding a bike. So we'll see.
Not according to Eric Diddleman, I think. In his...
We talked about this on the podcast. That's so funny. I totally forgot. We had talked about that, but I guess it's still on my mind. So there you go.
Awesome. So you were really fortunate to work with the late Johnny Thompson. And, you know, not a lot of people can say that, you know, I mean, you know, especially maybe in our generation. What was it like working with him? And do you have any maybe fun stories you could share?
Yeah, working with Johnny was amazing. I was fortunate enough to know him for 4 years before he passed, which it feels like a short amount of time, considering he was on this earth for 84, 85 years. So the moment you meet him, or the moment I met him, it was like I had known him for much, much longer. And I quickly realized that it wasn't because I was special. It was because Johnny was just that generous with those that asked him for help. So, I mean, probably the best times with him were casual. You know, on Mondays, I used to go to his house and he'd show me all the things that I had learned wrong as a kid. I mean, everything from a top palm to false shuffles to simple sleight of hand things that I had learned from watching magicians execute them, but not necessarily learned them properly, because I didn't really know the right book resources or video sources even, or have the right connections at the time, being a kid in Rhode Island, not necessarily being connected to the magic clubs yet and things like that. I picked up habits along the way that weren't quite right. And Johnny kind of inspired me to go back to my roots. But I'll give you an example here too, related to America's Got Talent. One of the sort of more talked about routines I did on the show when I was there as a contestant was borrowing a cell phone, vanishing it, and making it appear inside of a seat cushion in Radio City Music Hall and cutting open the seat cushion. And about a year later, when I came to open in Las Vegas, there was sort of a lot of pressure to be able to perform that live on a nightly basis. Now, of course, when I did it at Radio City Music Hall, that's live television, live to live. So those watching it at home are seeing it at the exact same time as those that are in the audience. So it was performed live. But my point is, I didn't have any help or consultants. I did run things past Eric Diddleman. That's something we've always done as a casual, as friends. But there wasn't sort of a team of people helping me figure out methods or presentations or anything. So my method was crude. And it was one of those things where I hoped it would work and knew it only had to work once and was able to pull it off, fool the live audience, fool the judges, and also fool the cameras to make it sort of YouTube proof. But it was never something that I would be able to do on a regular basis. It was just too risky with the method that I had come up with. So when it came time to open in Vegas, Johnny said to me, no, of course you can do that every night. And here are 4 or 5 ways you could do it. And that was pretty much the story of Johnny Thompson. He could almost, I mean, it was almost like he was a miracle worker that just knew everything about everything. But the best times with him really were casual and social. Those were because he was just the nicest human being. Forgive me for rambling, but I could talk about Johnny all day. The way he told stories was so great. And I just tried to savor every moment, really. It was just really a blessing to know someone like that and inspiring to hopefully be that way in some small way. So
That's awesome. I remember my first ever like seeing something of his was, I think it was like Greater Magic VHS tape of Cups and Balls.
Yeah.
And he was like doing it with Johnny, or he was doing it with Charlie Miller. And then that was early on in my like magic career. I was probably like 10ish. And then I saw him perform live, but I didn't realize it was the same guy in the video.
Wow.
This is before I really knew who like famous magicians were. And, you know, I saw it and I wasn't sure what to expect at first with the sign, and it didn't click that was the same person. And I saw the show and I was like, this is really fun. I mean, he's very comedic with the dove routine, and it was pretty incredible.
Yeah, and the history too. I mean, he lived with Charlie Miller for a period of time, learned from Ed Marlowe, learned from Di Vernon. I mean, he was just everywhere. And he started his career as a professional musician with the Harmonicats. It's unbelievable the stories he had and the things he had done, but just so great. I remember one Monday, we used to get together Mondays. I was on my way over to his house and he called me to apologize. He said, I'm so sorry. I totally didn't realize that I forgot it was Monday. And I'm so sorry. You can still come if you want to, but Charlie Fry and Bill Malone are here too. So I'm so sorry. He actually apologized to me for having, legendary performers there when I came over. To be a fly on that wall was a special day.
That's a hell of a Monday.
Yeah, it really was.
So you joke that you're not performing right now.
Right.
But when you were performing and you were doing all these shows,
Mm-hmm.
was there any aspect of your old performing life that you miss? When I first met you, you were doing the college circuit. So there was probably more time in between shows. You weren't performing every single night.
Right.
You had to travel. It's a new stage each night. Anything you miss about it or?
Well, I loved it, but it would be hard to go back to. You really do get spoiled a little bit having a venue that is really close to home, where everything you need is there, where, I used to spend, John, and we can relate to this, 98% of my time doing the contracts, booking the travel, actually traveling, setting up, breaking down. So I loved it. I really was happy as a pig in crap, so to say. But now I'm able to focus more time on the creative, having more help and a wonderful team to help bring the show to life. I'm able to focus more on the creative stuff, but I still like to be hands-on with the business side of things too a bit, because I do enjoy aspects of that too. So in terms of the travel, I loved it. It was enjoyable. I still do it on off weeks. Occasionally we'll do some. Pre-COVID, we'd do a couple of weeks of touring per year, but I really love performing in Vegas more than I even thought that I would. When I first came here, it was just, I'll try it out. It might be something I enjoy, and I ended up really, really loving it. So I look fondly back at performing and traveling for colleges, but you had to, it's a lot of hard work. One day you could be on an amazing stage at a college campus, and the next day you could be on a small riser or no stage at all at a noon show, where people don't even know they're about to see a performance, and they have headphones in and they're trying to do a group project. And now you have to sort of, it's almost like busking at that point. It's almost like street performing minus the hat pitch at the end to really engage people. And sometimes those are the best shows too, if you really win them over. But it's miss it might not be the right word.
There's something to be said about not having to unload and set up your show every single performance.
Absolutely. That it just allows me, I'm so thankful to just be able to focus more time on the creative aspects and really kind of take advantage of having a full production too. Even when we go on the road, the production is just not as heavy as what we have here in Vegas. In Vegas, it really is it's a full production show, and it's only expanding. So that's really, really neat, and not my background. You know, my original background is through magic and not in theater. So to have been able to learn so much more about theater production, and even just like the concert industry and live rock and roll shows, to be able to kind of learn more about how those things operate and really be immersed in one for the past 5 years it was a totally new learning experience. And I know more now than I did then. So I love that.
And you work with, we have a mutual friend, Vinny, who's part of your team. And and I feel like if anybody has a Vinny, they're set for life. He's a great guy.
Yeah, no, very thankful to have just an amazing team backstage, and to be working with them now every single day to sort of bring the new production to life it really is one of my favorite parts. So
awesome. So we were, you and I, when we were kind of setting this up, we were talking about some creativity stuff.
Yeah.
What's something you've been working on, and just in general, anything in particular?
Well, everything I've been working on now is like strictly show related, but for the past 10, 11, 12 months, I've been sort of treating magic almost from an academic level. I love to remain a student of magic always. And I've been really meticulous about, like, when I'm reading books, I'm also taking notes on everything, and almost, I don't know if this is a good or bad thing, John, but like treating magic as a hobbyist. Because I guess for all intents and purposes, I have been a magic hobbyist for the past year. One of my favorite books that I came across, I actually hadn't read this until recently, which is kind of embarrassing, is Card Finesse by John Rockerbomber. Bill Malone had said I would love this, and look at the amount of tabs that I put in this thing. It was like almost every section of the book, or every chapter, every bit, I made notes on. I wanted to maybe go over one or two today, just to kind of show a couple of things that I think are really neat. And some of these things, whether you're a card worker or not, I feel like there's never enough ways to do simple things like control a card to the top of the deck. How many times do you see a magic book and it says, you know, using your favorite method, control a card to the top of the deck? And look, I personally too can get really out of hand with like learning way too many, more than we need. However, different methods work better in different contexts. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm a move monkey. I love nothing more than to be in a situation where you can side steal a card to the top of the deck. That's great. But I'm also fascinated with methods that are clean, and there's really nothing to see, that you can do anytime, anywhere. And when I show this stuff to my wife, for example, she kind of knows my tells, but if I do a move that doesn't have moves, I can get away with it. This is one, it's a bluff. Let me see what he calls it here. It's a bluff pass to the top. So this was a move. This was kind of Marlowe's touch on Frank Thompson move. And it looks like this. You have a card selected. Let's say it's the 3 of spades, right? So the card is here. Yeah, we can use the 3. That's fine. And you have them set it back into the deck here. Right about here. I just want to make sure my hands are in frame. Yeah.
Yeah, a little higher. That's
a little higher. So they put the card into the deck, and then you just square it up very cleanly. And it's
nice.
Here still. So it really is. It's just a bluff, but it's got a nice subtlety to it where it feels really clean. So I'll break it down just a little bit, and This is really easy to try, learn, and even master, I think. 9 of spades. You have the card, half the deck in dealer's grip. They return the card to the deck. And the rest of the deck is sort of in a middle grip, if you will, kind of the same position you'd hold this half in if you were to dribble the deck. So you gesture like this as to where to put the card back, point with the finger. And as you raise the hands up, and this move might be a little bit more pronounced when doing it not for camera, but I'm doing it in a limited space here. You point here, and the top half of the deck is simply going to swing under the bottom half of the deck, but you purposely keep the deck side jog, so to say. So now you have this very clean moment where you can just square the deck up and drop it on the table or go wherever you want with it. I just think that's really nice because, you know, of course we can do a pass, we can do side steals, palm, so many different ways, but to just be able to go, here's the card, drop it in, now you're done. No shuffling it to the top, no anything. So if you're ever in a situation to control a card to the top of the deck, I think that's a great way to do it. And whenever I learn something, whether it's from a friend, from a lecture or something, I always like to go back to the original source. I really can't recommend this book enough if you want more work on that. I'd love to give another example too.
Absolutely.
Because as often as we have to control cards to the top of the deck, sometimes it's the bottom or second from the bottom. So there are lots of different ways of doing that. For example, that are a little more knacky or movie, the 5 of spades, right? Convincing control type thing where you control to the bottom, or let's say 8 of hearts. And you do a Kelly bottom placement, which is good. You know, they move, but they're all sleight of hand moves. So there's always, especially as a magician watching it, oftentimes there is a little bit of a tell. We know what we're looking for. But then there's this. Let's see, John, let's see how this will look. Just, yeah, I think I can do it. Say stop.
Stop.
Here?
Sure.
That one there, you sure?
Yeah.
Take a look at it, remember it? And there you go. And that's just a bluff as well. That was the bottom card the whole time. Now this is super bold. Again, Ed Marlowe, John Rockerbomber stuff here. I'm just riffling down. You say stop. It's almost like the force, but you pick up the whole deck. And now this other hand is just miming holding the rest of the deck. Really bold, I know, but usable. Slap these back on. The card's already on the bottom. Now, if you want to be a little bit more slick with it. So for example, one of the other things, you know, the Kelly bottom placement, it can also be used to control a card to not to the bottom, but second from the bottom.
Yep.
Difficult move to do, probably much more difficult than this slight variation. Say stop.
Stop.
Okay. Remember the card. And of course, now it's already second from the bottom. So it's the exact same bluff move. You're just starting with a pinky break above the card, right? So now you riffle down, you're picking up the entire deck except for the bottom card. But your angles are pretty good here. This is the only part you don't want them to see is that thickness. But look, you're covered from the top, you're covered from the side. And this, much better than having an empty hand, really looks like you have half the deck there. Slap on, a little dribble, and you're in and out. So I love just kind of sourcing different ways to control cards to the top and bottom of the deck. I love the little details, you know, even if you just have to stop me if this is boring or rambling.
No, not at all.
Even just like when you have to return a card to the deck, and let's say you have to return it to a specific place, rather than holding a break and like cutting to that spot and saying, put the card here. This feels very contained and controlled. I prefer to hold the break. And there's so much work on that too that, you know, I missed out on as a kid to make it look like you're not holding a break. But I love the idea of just going like this, you know, and you time it so that when they're putting the card back, it's in the spot that you need. So it's the same thing as saying, put your card back right here, but it feels so much different because I'm saying, yeah, just put your card back. Now I'm working towards that break. And now I time it just like a classic force and they put their card in. So I love all those little details. It's a lot about feel. You learn these things by, the best examples of it, Leonard Green, Danny D. Ortiz. It's the way things feel as opposed to like contained and tight. I love finding ways to make things feel looser, even just something as simple as returning a card to the middle of the pack. So forgive me if there are too much details there, but those small details make up the big picture.
But I think that's what separates, that's how you can always improve. And that's the beautiful thing about Magic, is you could take a routine that you've been doing for years and evolve it with those little details. And certain situations would foster you to need certain details. Like I did Magic before COVID. I was doing Magic weekly at a restaurant, doing tableside Magic. And you can take advantage of certain subtleties if you're in certain situations. So if I was behind the bar doing it versus at the table versus, they're kind of waiting for a table and they're standing, these are all nuances that you can work with.
Yeah, that's why I think it's great to have a nice toolbox to draw from. That's why I love just learning moves and sleights, because a pass is great in certain scenarios for certain amounts of people from certain angles, and other moves are more appropriate in other scenarios. So it's just, I love having the toolbox. So always trying to kind of build that up with things that are either close to self-working and bluff all the way to, the knuckle busting stuff. I just kind of love it all. And it also teaches us about Magic in general in terms of timing and so on.
Now, I'm going to throw in a new part of this. While we're talking about this, you said during quarantine, you got to take advantage of being more of a student.
Yeah.
I've personally found myself, when I was actually working and doing Magic and performing, I only really focused on Magic that would benefit my business. So I was kind of like contained to this, like, I don't want to say it was all commercial, but things that like I could do at the restaurant, or I did, family shows and platform kind of material. But then with quarantine, I'm now going through card college again and like going through different things that I'm not saying it's all not useful. It all can be useful. Right. But some of it's not the most practical in a working situation, right. But I enjoy learning it.
Same. Yeah. So just to that point, 100%, everything I used to work on more specifically, I at least intended to have a platform for whatever it was. And I found over the past year, I always like to consider myself a student of Magic, and I hope to always live that way for the rest of my life, really. But now I've been able to focus on the things, I've just had more time to focus on things that I didn't really care if I was going to have a platform for it or not. So it was just for the love of practice. So just having more time to do that's been great.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah. And, you kind of talked about it and you kind of hit upon it, but do you have like a process for creating new material, or like a creative process or improving current material? I know you're meditating. I don't know if like that has like helped foster some creativity.
I think meditation has just helped me as a human overall, and probably helps with creativity as well. The process really varies. I have a journal that I jot ideas in, and then I refer back to them, and sometimes that will spark something. When I read Magic books, whether it's technique or whatever, I take meticulous notes and put meticulous sort of markers and things that I think I might like to refer back to. It's always a little bit different depending on what it is. And then I just start working on it. Again, I did touch on this before. I kind of write a loose script as an outline. And then I find that once I start doing it, it finds the beats. I can get 9 out of 10 steps without being in front of the audience sometimes. And then, but I can't really complete the process until it gets that sort of immediate feedback. I think the same way a comedian does with jokes. But yeah, it really has been academic for the past 12 months more than ever. It's really almost been an academic process.
Do you, here's a question. I see the tabs and I do the same thing with tabs.
Yeah.
Do you write in your Magic books?
Yeah, sometimes I'll write directly in them, and I've recently transitioned to like tabs so that I don't necessarily have to write in them, but I've done both. I'm not not really one for one more than the other. I think whatever I need to do to sort of make margin notes, highlights, tabs, whatever it is to help me quickly sort of reference it again. Or these are supplemental notes too. So
True.
like these are actual notes of just like, how many card tricks have you learned that you can't remember the setup? You can't, right here, So.
Absolutely. Awesome. Do you have anything else you want to share with us?
Well, one of the things that I know you wanted to mention was a routine I had done online.
Oh, if you don't mind sharing it, I think our viewers would enjoy hearing a little bit about it.
And maybe you can even kind of swing that video in here somehow.
Okay.
So people can actually see what we're referring to. But the reason I wanted to make sure we bring it up is because you mentioned kind of being behind the bar versus being at a table, and now we're all working in this virtual platform. And I like combining sort of classic magic methods with this new proscenium that we have here. So I put together a little routine recently that sort of combined David Regal's sudden deck and a mental photography deck, and took advantage of this proscenium. So for example, the sudden deck routine is basically you take a card box that's not printed and make it become printed, and then you make the deck appear inside. But when you purchase that David Regal product, it also comes with a non-gimmicked blank box. So I used sort of the fact that we had this proscenium to be able to switch the real box, blank one, for the gimmick. And and you'll see this back on the video. It was I show the real one, and then as I'm reaching into my pocket to pull out these two markers is when the switch sort of happens. So it's almost like combining elements of television work or working in this virtual with sort of the timing of things we've learned from Slidini, right?
It's like virtual lapping.
Virtual lapping, yeah. But rather than just show it, take it out of frame for some cheap excuse and then bring it back, and I've made that mistake before, it was just a simple matter of showing it, having a justified reason for why it came out of frame accidentally, and then come back in with the real one. I also think that a mental photography deck is just a really fun prop that we kind of almost, I feel like, see it as something that's like sold at a magic shop to tourists.
Yeah.
But it really is a fun visual prop for laymen. And you can do things from self-working effects, like, showing everything blank and then cutting to a card and printing it and printing the deck. But you can also do it with sleight of hand methods too, where you're throwing them all on the table. Sleight of hand methods too, where you're doing color changes and things like that. So, and in the routine, I just combined the idea of using a couple of markers, red and black. And if you watch it, it was just something that I had put together and sort of interpreted and recorded and posted all in one session. It wasn't something I'd worked on for a long time. So, even if I had gone back to it now, I could probably tweak it and find more improvements. But I like that creative process too. I mean, it is interesting what we have with the internet here. We have the ability to sort of create and test and do things since we can't do it for live audiences. So, if there are any questions on it, I just thought it was a fun little thing.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Well, I got two more questions for you.
Mhm.
I know you're going in today to actually start working on the show later on.
Yes.
So Harrison Greenbaum asked you a similar question in an interview you did with him in Who Booked That?
Mhm.
And his question was, do you have any specific advice for younger viewers or maybe somebody just getting started out in magic?
Yeah, I don't know what I said when Harrison asked it, but my answer will probably be similar if I had to guess, because I just feel like the best advice I've gotten is do as many shows as you can for as many different types of audiences as you can.
I think that's like verbatim of what you said in his interview.
Well, I live by it. I believe that it's true. Practice, 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 perform, 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 and gain experience doing it. I learn something still every single show. Every show. I mean, the show evolves over time. You said the words constant improvement before. I believe there's a Japanese word, kaizen, that means constant improvement. And, you know, that's something I live by too. It's also the name of a restaurant here in Vegas.
There we go. Awesome. And then I have one more question, but before we get into that, you do a podcast with Eric Diddleman. Do you
Yeah.
want to just give a quick plug about it and tell our viewers?
Yeah, Mind Over Magic. We're probably around 35 episodes now. And Eric and I have known each other over, 10 years. And we give a lot of just insights on what's going on in our lives, performance-wise, personal-wise, marketing-wise. We get into performance tips to different experiences we've had working together, working separately. He's in New York, I'm in Vegas, and we love to take time each week to catch up anyway. So we decided to just put it on record. And if people want to join the conversation, all the better. And I appreciate you doing that too, listening in. So anyone, if you've enjoyed listening to this at all, and even if you hated it, maybe you would enjoy the podcast, Mind Over Magic with Matt and Eric.
Awesome. And then my last question is, you're really kind, you're really humble person. Even when I met you before AGT, have you remained that way? AGT.
Did you say have you or how?
How have you? I mean, you're a Las Vegas headliner. When I went and my wife and I saw your show, there's billboards of your face that are 3 stories long. You're on taxi cabs and on poker tables and stuff. How have you done it? And is it hard?
I don't think it has been hard. I think most of my natural being and my behavior is sort of, I like to think it's mostly just inherent. I think that ego can be the enemy. I don't like the idea of it. It's a little bit repulsive to me to have too much of an ego. So I aim not to. I don't know if I always succeed at it, but I certainly do try. And I think I just can't think of anything bad that comes from being well-grounded. So I try to be.
Awesome. Well, Matt, thank you so much. You could check out more, check out Mind Over Magic with him and Eric, and hopefully you'll get your show back and running soon and we could all check it out.
Awesome to be here with NEMCON. This might even be like my favorite NEMCON so far. The hotel accommodations have been unbelievable this year, honestly. So thanks for having me hang with you guys.
All right, thanks, Matt. So Matt, you've been on many TV specials, including all the AGT specials. Do you have any tips for people who might be going on TV? Even if it's not to perform, just to be on TV, but also to perform?
Yeah, honestly, be easy to work with. I think it goes a long way to trust the advice of those that are experts in their positions, whether they're producers or directors, creative producers. I always like to think of it as a collaborative effort, and I just try to bring like my small piece of the pie as best I can and let everyone else really do what they do best and sort of trust the process. That's my advice.
All right. And then random question, but do you have like a go-to playing card brand or playing card type?
I bounce around a bit. I've been using Tally-Ho a lot more recently. What was I using today? Today I was using, these are Richard Turner's.
Okay.
They're like the elite edition of bicycle cards.
Traditionally cut for Perfect Pharaoh.
That I believe, yeah. Wow, you even know the ad copy. Very good. Yeah, Tally-Ho is what I've used most often these days, but it really depends on the context, because on stage I use a lot of Link cards that are actually from the Link Casino, the casino cards that after they're used, they're given to us, and also B brand cards, Redback B cards. are what I use for manipulation and back palms and things. I use these instead of manipulation cards for the same reason Jeff McBride talks about, just because they have a little bit more, a lot more pop to them than the thinner cards that are specifically for manipulation. Pros and cons each way, right? If you have a manipulation deck, the whole deck is that thin. You back palm the whole deck right out of the box. But with these, there are other benefits that I prefer. So,
do you go through the whole process of? I remember watching, the Art of Card Manipulation, where he was like taking the card and hitting it with a ruler, and then throwing it in a bag with fanning powder, shaking it up.
Yeah, volume 2. He teaches you how to prepare cards. Art of Card Manipulation, volume 2. I have done that before. I don't normally, like I said, I kind of like the, you can scrape them with the ruler and make them thinner. If you want thin cards, there's so many great manipulation decks on the market, but I like the pop. So I don't prepare them other than just like the ones I'm going to back palm. I'll break them in with some of this and some of that, and that'll get them to kind of where I need them to be to do the moves.
Awesome. I remember when I first started, when I first learned how to card scale and flick cards out of the deck.
Yeah.
They were everywhere in my house.
Yeah. Well, the tip on that too is, for card scaling, you want no preparation right out of the box.
No.
You don't want them to have bends. You want them to fly out like a ninja star.
Karate Kid style, right?
Crane technique.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, Matt.
Well, that's it. Thanks, guys, so much for watching NEMCON 39.5. This virtual magic convention was a lot of fun to put together. We hope to see you guys soon. Please check us out at ctnemcon.com for all the information about upcoming NEMCON 40. And that's right, we're turning the big 4-0. See you guys soon. Stay safe.